All right, welcome to our second part of our meeting. We're going to kick things off with some Mountain Lion. So, show of hands, how many of you have already upgraded to Mountain Lion? Quite a few of you. How many of you have not and you're waiting to see more about it before you decide? About the other half. Okay, good. I'll start off by saying that Mountain Lion, unlike Lion, I went to immediately. And when I say that, Lion 10.7 was the first Mac OS in my history that I did not adopt on day one. Not only did I not adopt it on day one, I didn't adopt it when 10.7.1 came out. I didn't adopt it until 10.7.2 came out. I waited that long. That's like unheard of for me. And sure, I had it on a test machine, but I didn't have it on my main computers. Why didn't I go to Lion when it first came out and I waited 2 versions for it to come out before I did it? Say it? Features. There was nothing in Lion that I saw that I needed or wanted. Not a single feature. So when I finally did it, it was more for compatibility with a piece of software that only worked in Lion. Not because there was something great in Lion that I wanted. Now, fast forward to Mountain Lion. I went to it day one because there were features that I wanted. And I'll get to those as we go through the presentation. So, in other words, just because a new operating system comes out doesn't mean that even I, the president of Mac Group, jumps on it right away if there's no compelling reason to do so. And with Lion, there wasn't. With Mountain Lion, for me, there was. Okay, so with that said, today we're going to concentrate, of course, on the new things in Mountain Lion. So there's not enough time in the presentation to cover what was new in Mountain Lion, what was new in Lion, what was new in Snow Leopard, what was new in all those things. This is about Mountain Lion specifically. And I have 2 pages of things in no particular order. I'm just going to start and jump in. Now, one I forgot to write down, so I'm going to do it first, even though I wouldn't have done it first, but I don't want to forget it. And that is just a quick tip on Time Machine. Now, Time Machine has been built in for the last, 3-4 versions of OS X. And it's, of course, the main way of backing up your Mac. It does it automatically, does it in the background, does it every hour, gets rid of old files, keeps backing up the new files, so forth and so on. Great, great, great feature. What they did in Mountain Lion, and I don't have a second drive to show you here set up, but now when you go to select your disk, in previous versions of Time Machine, it was one or the other. Like you picked a disk, and whatever disk you had set up before that, it forgot about. It was only focused on one disk at a time. Now you can set up multiple disks for Time Machine backups. It'll still only do one at a time, but it won't forget about the old ones. So when would this be useful? For example, some people like to have 2 backups. They like to have one at home. While they're at home, it's doing Time Machine, maybe to a time capsule or external hard drive. Then when they go to the office or another home or another location, they've got another drive backing up there. More backups, safer you are, especially when they're not in the same location. So Time Machine now makes it easier to have multiple drives set up for your different backups, and you just pick the one you want it to use at a given time. And I'm not sure if it will automatically detect, if it's a time capsule, if it'll automatically detect when you go to the second location and just start using it automatically. I haven't tested that yet. But you can at least now set up multiple disks. So now it says backup disks, not disk. So it says it plural because you can have more than one here. And it will use whichever one you designate. All right, so that was the one I forgot to write down. All right, next one. Let's get out of Safari here for a minute. Let's just go to the Finder. Move some things back around. They got jolted around. Change resolutions. There we go. So a couple quick Finder tips. One of my favorite ones is now the Finder itself is more sharing aware. And what that means is, let's say I've got this picture here and I want to send that via email. Or I want to send it via an iMessage. Or I want to send it to someone via AirDrop. I want to share that picture. Now if I right-click on it, or control-click on it, as Mac users used to call it, there is a share option in the Finder that lists all those things. So if I say share via email, it will launch mail, create a new email, attach the picture to it, all set, ready to go. So sharing in the Finder, much, much, much better and easier than it was before. And same thing with AirDrop. If there were someone on AirDrop that I wanted to send it to, I can say, hey, start up AirDrop. Jack, are you on? Can you set up AirDrop? And that just means opening your Finder window and clicking on AirDrop. Let me know when you're ready. All right, so I'm going to say share via AirDrop. What it should do is show me who's on, which Jack is on right now, and send the file directly to Jack. And waiting for him to accept it.
What is the range, the physical?
AirDrop, what is the physical range? I don't know. I don't know, because it doesn't necessarily use internet. It is peer-to-peer, but I don't know what the range is. But it went, so at least from here to there. Okay, next one is kind of I'm becoming more of a trackpad person. So if you've got a MacBook with a trackpad, or Apple's external trackpad, or a Wacom tablet that's got touch capabilities, you can now 3-finger tap to do, maybe you can't. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Okay, I don't know if I have it turned on, but 3-finger tap should do quick look now, which that's quick look. So it just shows you a full screen or a big screen of what you just did, and you should be able to 3-finger tap on the trackpad to do that. Here's another kind of hidden one. I don't really have a use for it, but it's there. If you've got a folder in your sidebar, and it could be your documents folder, it could be a pictures folder, it could be any folder, you can now right-click on that folder and say add it to the dock. So if you want that folder to also be in your dock so you can get to it even if a Finder window's not open, it's a quick way of getting that folder into the dock as well. So for example, my downloads is there. Let's say I wanted my pictures folder in my dock. I can say add to dock, and it will put the pictures folder now in the dock as well. And none of these are the reasons I upgraded to Mountain Lion. I'll get to those, but these are just some quick little easy things that are nice about the OS. Here's one of my pet peeves, because I think it was in Lion, they moved it, and it drove me crazy. And now in Mountain Lion, I can move it back. In Lion, your drives, or prior to Lion, your drives were always at the top of the sidebar. And now they're at the bottom. It drive anyone crazy?
Yep.
Yep, okay. So now, a little hidden feature, these categories are now draggable. You can put them wherever you want them to be. So you can put your devices back up at the top where you like them. Okay. Or anywhere else for that matter. So you can mix and drag those wherever it's more important for you. Okay, you notice that there's something new, a new little icon up here in the upper right-hand corner, which, by the way, hang on, let me turn something on first. New accessibility options, by the way. And more options, there we go. Okay. There's a new little icon in the upper right-hand corner. There we go. And that little icon is your notification center. You can get to your notification center a couple of different ways. You can just click on it, and obviously that will bring up your notification center. So it's happy birthday, Gordon Griffin, Edgar Oliver, and John John. Happy birthday. So it's bringing up notifications that their birthdays are today and whatever I have on tap for tomorrow. It's picking that up out of my iCloud. It also, if an application is notification center aware, it will show you the last things that that application did. Mail is notification center aware, so if you got emails, it will do that as well. I'm going to get rid of these because this is basically PhotoSync. It's a wireless application that I use to grab pictures from my iPhone over to my Mac real quick or my iPad. And it showed me the last 3 pictures that I brought in and when I did it. I don't need to see those notifications anymore. I didn't need to see them in the first place, so I can just kill those. You can also control what's in your notification center from each individual application or the preferences for notification center. Now, as a tip, if you do have a trackpad, and I knew that you could do it, but I didn't know how this worked until I tried it a couple times. Your trackpad is in a rectangle. It's a rectangle on the device or on your computer. Of course, then that means there's space around it, around the physical trackpad. So if you take your fingers and start with the space on the side of the trackpad, the right-hand side, and swipe to the right, 2 fingers, it will bring up the notification center. But if you start on the trackpad itself, then that's another gesture. That's 2 fingers swiping for something else. So you start right on the edge of the trackpad, off the trackpad, and swipe onto the trackpad to bring the notification center up or put it back. All right. 2 things that are next. Notes and reminders. So let me talk about where these used to be. Notes used to be a part of Mail. You had a separate section in Mail for notes. Reminders used to be a part of iCal. You had a separate to-do thing in iCal. Apple has separated both of those features out into their own applications. So now there's a Notes application, there's a Reminders application. Just like on iOS, there's a Notes application and there's a Reminders application. And by the way, the more Apple updates macOS, the more it becomes like iOS. And that's the goal, is to basically make everything, as much as where it makes sense, look and act the same. So users going from one don't have to translate and think about going to the other. So what used to be built into Mail is now its own application, Notes. Now when you type in a note or paste in a note or do things, and by the way, Notes, here's another bonus tip, Notes can have pictures. So you can drag a picture into a note. I didn't really realize that until I tried it the other day, because there was a note that I wanted of AT&T's new group rates, and I had a screenshot of it, and I wanted to always be able to refer back to that in my notes. And I was like, I don't want to retype all this. Can I just drag the screenshot in? And sure enough, it worked. But anyway, back to Notes. So the notes, of course, are on your Mac. They'll be in this application. You can have as many notes as your hard drive will allow. And if I type a note, today we showed mountain lion. There were thousands of members in attendance. All right, I didn't say the notes had to be truthful. Okay, so that note, I don't have to save, I don't have to do anything, I don't have to, it's just there from now on. Now, you might have noticed next to the name of the note, briefly, it said updating. So here, let me see if I can make it do it again. Now, when I stop typing, updating, and then it goes away. That's technically it's saving in the background. So even if I forget to save, quit, computer crashes, whatever, as long as that will still get back whatever it had done up to that last update. What that's also doing, if my notes are in my iCloud account, if I have an iCloud account, which you should since it's free, that means that this note is now available on all my computers and all my iOS devices in the Notes applications on each of those computers. And even if your other computer is not on Mountain Lion, it will be in the Notes and Mail on that older computer operating system. So Notes synchronizing via iCloud, one of my favorite features, has been for a long time, because it was doing it with Mobile Me before iCloud. So, but now it's a separate application. Benefits to having it be a separate application, I don't have to look for it in Mail. That's about it. It's just separate, that's it. No real extra great new features. It does support it supports something that iOS doesn't, and that is rich text formatting. So you could have paste in color text and big fonts and all that, whereas the Notes app on your iOS device won't display all the formatting.
If you have notes on 2 different devices that are not synchronized into the iCloud right now, and you decide to do so, will it consolidate the 2 together?
Okay, so the question is, if I have notes in that aren't on iCloud on two different devices, and then I add iCloud to those two different devices, will it consolidate? Well, actually, it's not going to necessarily consolidate for you. What it's going to do, I don't know if I can bring this up. There it is. What it's going to do is I just brought up the sidebar here. So it's saying notes, iCloud notes. You will then see iCloud notes, which will be empty because you haven't put any in iCloud yet, and you will see on your Mac or on my Mac notes or whatever it's called. Those will be all the ones you created on each device. You can drag them into the iCloud section, so then they sync onto each device. Yeah, so you're going to see two separate things, right? And then you just drag all the notes you want from one into the other.
Is stickies still in the OS?
Stickies, I believe, is still an app. Yep, it's still there. No updates or anything, it's just still there. Yes. I haven't used stickies in years. Yeah, if I want something to always be on screen, that's what stickies was kind of for, just like a sticky note. I used it, and I'll take that back. I did use it recently once for something. There was something I wanted. I don't even remember why I wanted it, but I remember stickies was going to do something that I needed it to do, and I launched it, pasted in the one thing I needed. It was there on my screen until I didn't need it anymore. I haven't launched it since. So I don't use stickies. I use notes. Pardon? How about the what? How long has notes been? It's been a part of mail for at least, I don't know, what, 3, 4 OSs? It's been years. It's been there for a long time. Stickies goes all the way back to OS 9, so it's just a lot of people love it. That's why they haven't killed it, but they don't really do anything with it. All right, so that's pretty much it for notes. Reminders. You can launch the Reminders app and start making to-dos. Remind everyone that the afterglow is at Olga's, thank you, Olga's Kitchen in Southfield. All right, so that will do nothing right now. It won't remind me. It will just sit there. Because all I did was type in a to-do. It's up to me now to turn it into a reminder. It's two different things. A to-do is just a list of things you can check off. Doesn't bug you, doesn't tell you about it, doesn't remind you, doesn't do anything. Unless you ask it to. If I now say, oh, I want you to remind me to do this, then there's a little, when you hover over it, there's a little information thing, and I can now say, remind me on a day, today, at, that will be a little late, 4:50. So now it will pop up a reminder to remind everyone at 4:50 that the afterglow is at whatever. And that's the time underneath it. Now also, if I go back to that, new in Mountain Lion is that just like in iOS, it can be location based. Okay. Location based means that I can say remind me when I get to a certain spot or when I leave a certain spot. So I could say, let's make a new one. Remind me to put on my seatbelt. Add a location, my current location, which it should pop up and ask me. There we go, current location. And notes just quit. There we go, or it just quit. But it saved everything because it updates in the background. All right, but anyway, it will, at my current location, so I didn't type in that address, it just used the location services in Mac OS, figured out where I was, and now it will remind me when I leave this area. That will pop up to let me know to put on my seatbelt, so in theory, when I'm in my car. Now, since it's syncing reminders to my iOS device, obviously my Mac will be closed. I won't get that reminder on my Mac. Where will I get it? On my iPhone or my iPad or whatever I have with me. So that's when that reminder will come up when I leave the location. All right. And you can make multiple lists. So I can say, I just want to make a list called grocery. Bacon. You can never have too much. Yes? It pops up with a push notification on your iPhone screen. And it will beep if you have your notification set to beep. Her question was, how does it remind you? It depends on how you have your device set up, but it will either pop up with a push notification or a beep or whatever you've set as your notifications. I'm joking about the bacon thing. But anyway, let's see, I don't know, bread. So these are just, again, checkoffs. They won't do anything, won't remind me. They'll just sit there till I check them off, unless I tell it to remind me. So you can make as many lists as you want, as many reminders as you want, location-based reminders, date-based reminders, and this will all remind you based on when you tell it to on your devices that it's synced to. And it will also, I just said it, will sync to your iOS devices.
Is it still part of iCloud and cloud you can share?
Yeah, I don't think it's a part of iCloud or iCal anymore. I think they took it out.
I think it shows.
It's online.
I don't know. I've never looked to see if reminders are separate now in iCloud.
I thought they still showed
It's not an icon.
It's not in iCal anymore, but the question was when you go online, will you see it in your iCloud.com account? I don't either, but I haven't looked for it. Okay, so that's reminders. I use reminders all the time. Now, by the way, there are more full-featured apps out there. There are more, especially for iOS. Speaking of notes, everyone loves Evernote. Like Evernote is like a cult group. It's a religion. You talk bad about Evernote and people will want to kill you because people love Evernote for some reason. I have it. I use it. I could care less about it, really. I'm not that big of a note/reminder guy, so this is fine for what I need. I need it to remind me at a certain time to do something. Okay, did it. That's it. Don't need any extras. I need a note that I can pull up and read again. That's it. So if you need more than that, then that's what Evernote and all these other apps are for. My needs are simple when it comes to reminders and notes. I don't need those other things. And by the way, the reason I just remembered using Evernote the other day is because I knew Evernote could have a picture in it. And when I put the picture in and made an Evernote, which will sync, and there's a desktop client and an iOS client, I thought, well, I wonder will the regular notes do it? Once I drug it in, I was like, okay, another reason I don't need Evernote, because the regular notes even now does pictures. So if you have more needs, this is what Apple gives. There are other apps that do more.
I take it back. You can see reminders in your iCloud, on iCloud.
On iCloud, okay.
Yeah, it's not in the default view. You have to
Okay, so that answers your question, and I would imagine that once Apple will probably update iCloud to make it a separate icon to keep it consistent. But right now it's still in iCal on iCloud.com. Okay, reminders, simple, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Next, AirPlay. Now, by the way, I answered the question you guys asked earlier, but I shouldn't have. When you guys were asking me all about reflection, the reason I shouldn't have answered it is because we got this great thing called the Mac News blog. People write on it almost every day. And I did a review of this great app called Reflection back in, I don't know, March 2012. And I should have just pointed you to that post so you can read about it and even watch my video on how it works. So search the Mac News blog for Reflection if you want to know about that app. I reviewed it. I already answered all those questions. It's there. Anyway, that technology uses something called AirPlay. It turned my Mac into an AirPlay receiver so that Steve's iPhone could project to my Mac. Well, Apple makes a device that has AirPlay built into it. They make several, but the one for video is Apple TV. So with an Apple TV from your iPhone, your iPad, and now your Mac, you can project onto your Apple TV wirelessly whatever's going on your screen. So it was already on iPhone and iPad in the last couple of OS updates. Now it's built into Mountain Lion as well. There's an icon for it right here at the top of the screen. I don't have any AirPlay devices on the network right now, but if my Apple TV was there, I'd be able to pick it, turn on mirroring, and you'd be able to wirelessly see on your TV whatever's going on your Mac. Yes?
You need the latest Apple TV to do that?
Latest as in what?
Newest Apple.
You need the little one. I'll put it that way.
Well, I came out with a new one.
You need the little one, not the original big one. If you have the little one, 720p, or the new one, 1080p, it will work. If you have the old big one, the white one, it won't work. So as long as you have the little black one, it will work.
You do have to have a pretty new Mac.
Yes, to run Mountain. Well, yeah, correct. And by the way, of course, on that little one, you need the latest update on it, the latest software updates, and then it will work. Okay. So AirPlay. Now I've tried this on my own Apple TVs in my office and around, and I'm not that impressed by it. I thought it would be better. It's not as clean as going to a wired projector. It works. It's just not as it's not as good. So in a pinch for a presentation with maybe big things like slides and photos, it'll be fine. But when it's small text, it may not be as crisp because it is, in effect, going from a computer to a HD TV, which isn't one-to-one as far as resolution is concerned. So it's going to have to do some scaling one way or the other, either up or down, depending on the resolution of your Mac. So it works. And of course, the other problem, and I was originally going to bring an Apple TV here and set it up, but it's also dependent performance-wise on your network. And with 50 of you trying to be on at one time, I can imagine the performance of AirPlay from my computer to that Apple TV would be not so good. So I didn't even bother. But AirPlay, built in, glad to have it, glad it's there. Next, let's talk about iCloud. Now, next month's meeting, I've decided to make the topic iCloud and music match. So to talk about all the cloud storage and syncing, and we'll talk about other cloud storage too. Maybe we'll just make it a cloud meeting. And syncing your music and all that stuff. So that'll be next month's topic. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it today. But iCloud is finally here on the Mac. And what I mean by that, I mean for documents. It was already there in iOS. So if you had, for example, numbers on your iPad or pages on your iPad, you could sync those documents you were creating between iOS devices, but not your Mac. You could download it onto your Mac, but once you made changes, you'd have to jump through hoops to get it back up. That's all gone now. It's now integrated into the OS. And I thought it would take updates, well, like major updates to Pages or iWork, Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, but it didn't. They just did minor, dot releases, free updates, and now all three of those apps can work with iCloud, including a couple other ones on the Mac. So what does that mean? Let's launch Pages, for example. When you launch an iCloud-aware app and you don't open a document, this is what you get. You get a choice between your iCloud documents or documents on your Mac, and that shows your regular window of finding your document. If I go to iCloud, I can either view this in a list view or an icon view, and I can open that document. Now, technically, that document is on my hard drive. It didn't download it. It opened it off my hard drive in some secret, hidden, top secret folder. And now if I go make changes to it, say the price went up. Just like in, what was I in before? Notes where it's saved automatically. This is saving automatically too. It's saving in the background. And it's saving it in the background to my hard drive first, and then uploading it in the background to iCloud. So what that means, if I close this, and I go back to that open dialog box, I tried to catch it. There was a little cloud there for a split second, and it went away. When you see that little cloud, that means it's uploading or downloading. It's syncing. And once it goes away, that means you're up to date. So now this document is available on any other device I have that has Pages on it, that is also set to the same Apple ID. So if I were to go to my iPad and log in with the same Apple ID, I'd be able to go to Pages on my iPad and edit that document. When I save it on my iPad, come back and I can continue editing on my Mac. Go to another Mac and edit the same document because it's syncing to iCloud and it's keeping a local copy to make it fast. So that is in a nutshell iCloud. Now, of course, we'll get into advantages and disadvantages next month, but I'm going to say one of the biggest disadvantages to perhaps other cloud storage like Dropbox or whatever else you're using is that this is very application specific. I'll show you an example. I'm going to quit Pages for a moment. I have a screenshot over here, and I still have this screenshot set to open in preview. I would normally open up stuff like that in Photoshop. I'm going to double click on it, and it's going to open up in preview. Okay, there it is in preview. I now have the ability to say, put this in iCloud. And you can do that by clicking right on the title of it. It drops down a menu. You can say now, move to iCloud. Are you sure you want to move that to iCloud? Yep, I'm sure. Notice where it disappeared off my desktop? It moved it into the top secret folder that we're not supposed to know about. Then it sent it up to iCloud. Okay, so now if I close this and just do the same open dialog box, there it is. And since I don't see a cloud anymore, that means it's gone. It's up in the cloud for me to use. Now that's an image. I should be able to open that in any program that can open images. Photoshop, Preview, Elements, iPhoto, whatever can open up images. But iCloud in Apple's implementation of it with their apps is very app specific. Now I gave you the example of Pages. If I went to my iPad, which has Pages, I could open that same document. There's no preview on the iPad. How can I get to that picture? I can't. Because this will only show in preview. Notice my Pages document's not showing here. If I launch Pages, here's the Pages, here's the preview. Neither one is showing the other document because they're application specific. Pages is only showing me Pages documents on iCloud. Preview is only showing me preview documents on iCloud. Even though Pages could open that picture or place that picture, it's not going to show it to me in iCloud. So that's a disadvantage, in my opinion, to other types of cloud storage. Now, are there hacks and workarounds? Sure. But this is the way Apple intended it to be used. Yes?
That was done intentionally, but, excuse me, that was not done intentionally, that was done so that it would be so it was able. Most people would like to be able to get anything.
I would agree. Yeah. I would think that I should have maybe a third button that says show me all. And I should be able to grab anything that this program can open from iCloud and open it. Maybe there's a text file. And it's not a Pages document. Pages can open up text files, maybe that I had in preview. How come I shouldn't be able to open it here? So that's all I'm saying. Disadvantages, advantages.
Even if they were all together, but by category.
Right, yeah, something.
A quick question. When you selected to have the document, the Page document, move to the cloud, if that document was also saved on your Finder in a folder somewhere, would it be disappearing?
Yeah, remember the picture disappeared from the desktop? So it takes it and moves it.
Can you do a copy or just a move?
Well, you can make a copy before you move it, and it's going to move the one you told it to move, and you'll have a copy. But yeah, it's going to move the one you tell it to move.
So Jerry, it's on your hard drive in the super secret.
It's in the hard drive in the super secret place.
So if I lose network connectivity, can I see that?
Yeah, if I were to turn off my Wi-Fi right now, which I'm not going to because then I'll never get back on, I can still open that Pages document and work on it. And it will just show a little cloud icon until I reconnect, because it will show that it's not updated in the cloud right now.
So it will show it in iCloud even though you're not connected to iCloud.
Right. So this iCloud menu will be there no matter if you're connected to the network or not. You won't lose. In other words, Yes, you can edit your documents offline. You don't have to be connected to the internet to get to your documents. That's why it keeps them on the hard drive, so that you can edit them offline.
Will Finder be able to find it?
I've never tried. Okay, so that is how iCloud works. Now, a couple of tips in here. Let me create another Pages document. It'll be the easiest way to show it. So I'm just going to create a new Pages document. Here we'll do a modern letter. Yes. And now we'll just save this. And it even lets me save it directly to iCloud. So I can save this and call it modern letter. Okay, so now that's saved to iCloud. I can close it. And that's preview. Let's not confuse things. Let's quit out of preview. Let's go back to Pages and open. So now I should have two. Okay, modern letter and Pages, the Pages document. So both are there. If you view by icon, obviously it'll show you little previews. And like iOS, you can make folders. So you can drag and drop into, just like you would on your iPhone or iPad, into folders that you make on your iCloud storage. Because if you can imagine, people are going to have tons of these, hundreds of documents. So this way you can organize them by folder. I haven't looked at what folder does. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Oh, neat. Okay. By the way, what if I now want to, remember that's in some secret folder I'm not supposed to know about. What if I want to email it? Oh, I want to email that letter to somebody. It's in the secret place. I can't drag it. But you can click on it and go to the share button and email. And it will launch mail and attach it. Well, why did they hide the library folder? They just don't want people accidentally messing around. Okay, so you can, here, let me hide mail for a minute. You can share documents, you can send documents, you can edit the documents. So basically that's the way iCloud works. Do documents count toward your amount of space that you use? I cannot remember how they do it anymore.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yeah, what is it, 5 gigs for free?
Yeah, 5 for free.
And your documents count towards that 5 gigs. Okay. Moving out of iCloud for a moment. Again, we're going to do a whole meeting on that, so let's move on. Dashboard. So you might remember Dashboard. Dashboard is now more iOS-like. What do I mean by that? Well, if I go to add a widget, iOS. Get the little icons, and if you wanted to delete a custom widget, you can't delete the ones that are built in, but if you want to delete one, they wiggle. You click the little X above them to delete them, just like iOS. And you can drag these into folders too, just like in iOS. Starting to get the picture here? More iOS-like than ever before. Okay, so that is Dashboard, and let's move on to Messages. So Messages is, it was a beta for Lion. Now it's built into Mountain Lion. So you can now send messages to other Macs or iOS devices like you would a text message. That doesn't count towards text messaging. So it's going through Apple servers. So if I go here and go to Messages, okay, I did a test to Jack yesterday because I'm on a different Apple ID than my normal Apple ID. And if I now say, hi, Jack, as long as I don't say that on a plane, I'm good. Old joke. I know, I was going to say it's old joke. Okay. Now, obviously, Messages is cool for just like what we used to use iChat for, chatting back and forth, just talking. But it's also a useful utility because maybe I want to send Jack a large file. I don't have a way to send, it's too big for email. I could say, you know what, Jack, I want you to have this picture of Apple gift cards. I'm going to just drag that in and send it. So I just sent him that large, pretend it was large photo. And he will get it through his Wi-Fi or his network directly. So it's a way to get past email limitations one-on-one. I don't know that there is a limit. It has replaced iChat. So now, and that's part of my notes. So where is iChat then? Where is all my iChat stuff? Where is my screen sharing? Where is my Google Talk, my Yahoo, my AIM? It's all here. This one app replaces all of what iChat did and messages at the same time. So if you are a former iChat user or a former AIM user, or a Yahoo user or Google Talk or any of the above, you set up those same accounts that you used to set up before. So you can set up an AIM account, a Jabber account, a Google account, a Yahoo account, whatever account you want to chat with. And what's nice is you could be chatting with one contact and it will keep everything in one thread, no matter how it's sent it. So I had a friend of mine who had an iPhone, but she also likes Google Talk. And we started a Google Talk conversation and just merged it right in with the regular iChat conversation. So it will keep track of what the person is on and send the messages however it needs to. Video chat's been replaced with FaceTime, so there's the FaceTime icon. And share my screen is under the buddies menu, request to share my screen. So again, this replaces everything that iChat used to do, with the exception of video is not really built in per se, it uses FaceTime. Okay, next.
Here's one other plus, is that this message is the same message that's on your phone.
Right. Whereas iChat was using AIM primarily, so you had to have an AIM client on your phone to really get that same conversation back and forth. This is using iMessage, the same iMessage on your iPhone or iPad or iPod Touch. So you have that, you can start a conversation on your Mac, continue it on your iPhone, continue it on your iPad, get back to your Mac and continue it. You don't have to be on a particular device just to continue that conversation.
And it's updated on all of those.
Right.
Is there a buddy list?
Yeah, sure. Just like it was in iChat. But it's technically for messages at your contacts. So it shows your address book.
So if somebody's using Snow Leopard and you go up to Mount Lion,
Then it will use, if they were on Snow Leopard using AIM before,
right,
they will use your AIM here. You set up your AIM account, it will.
still communicate.
Sure. But you'd have to set up your separate AIM account like you had in iChat on here, on messages.
On Mount Lion.
Yes. Because that person's using iChat, which is AIM-based.
Right.
This is using your Apple ID, which may or may not have been tied to your AIM account, I don't know. But if not, then you log in with your AIM account in messages, and you continue that conversation. So it's one place for all those conversations that used to happen separately.
Can you upgrade directly from Snow Leopard to Mountain Lion, or do you have to do line in between?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the point.
Well, how do you...
Yeah, it's a supported Apple upgrade. You can get Snow Leopard and download it from the App Store and install
Okay. All right. That's the part I wasn't sure about, is the getting it. I know physically the application would launch and install.
They'll let you buy it in the store.
Okay.
Because remember, it started on.
All right, so speaking of the store, that's where we're headed next, the App Store. This is where you would get Mountain Lion. You cannot walk into an Apple store anymore and buy your operating system. You buy it and download it on your Mac directly from the App Store. So you would sign in with your Apple ID. You would go to Mountain Lion. You would click and buy it for $20. That's all it costs now. And download it and install it. And you can install it on all your Macs. Your Macs that you own. Go ahead.
I went into the Apple Store and bought the drive.
I thought they weren't going to do it for Mountain Lion.
About 2 days ago.
Okay. So apparently they will still sell it to you on a thumb drive. How much was it?
More than $20.
I know. That's why I said how much.
I think it was
$60 if you want it on a thumb drive. I'll sell it to you on a thumb. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I won't sell it to you on a thumb drive. Okay. No, the reason I brought up the App Store was not to talk about where to buy it, because that's obvious for people that have bought Lion, because that's the same, you bought it the same way. But the App Store now is where all of your updates are. So before, your updates would only show you your updates for what's installed on your computer. So right now it's checking to see if I have any updates available, which I thought I did, but apparently I don't. And you would then install those updates. Now remember how you used to go up to your Apple menu and say software update? And it would bring up a separate little thing to show you your software updates? It brings up this. So your OS and your Apple updates are all in one place, as well as your third-party updates that you got from the App Store.
I still have a G4. And I'm wondering if the updates for that that's still available in the Wi-Fi.
The G4 is PowerPC based. Apple doesn't currently sell anything that will update a G4. So none of this applies to a PowerPC, a G5, any PowerPC machines. All right, next, address book. So address book and iCloud got some got some interface changes basically back to the way I liked it before they took it away. For example, your groups are now listed separately, sidebar, without you having to double click to get into them, and then you couldn't keep them open. So anyway, groups are done right again. So any groups you create will be here. It also, of course, integrates with Twitter and Facebook. Now you can add those as fields in your contacts. And if you click on a phone number or email address, it will give you the option to send that person an iMessage, provided that they have a Mac or iOS device. iMessages does not go out to regular cell phones. It goes out to iOS devices or Macs with messages. That's it. So if I knew this was an iPhone, I could send that person a message right now, right from Address Book.
You can't send an SMS.
No. SMSs go over cellular networks. Okay, next thing, share a contact. So just like in iOS, little share icon, you can now email this card to someone, message that card to someone, or airdrop that card to someone. So sharing, you're going to start seeing everywhere. Just easier ways to share something you're looking at right now. Okay, and a new interface for, I don't necessarily like the new interface for choosing your contact photos. Here, let me edit. You now have, of course, the ability to use your camera to take a picture, your defaults, which are the ones, the colorful, cool ones that they gave you, and recents that you've used before. But and somebody point this out to me, maybe I just don't see it. I don't see an option that says, let me grab it off my hard drive. I know I can drag it in, but where's the click, let me open up a window and go find the picture I want on my hard drive? I can't find that in this interface. So to me, that's a step down, because I used to be able to do that. But you have these three.
What's that pencil at the bottom?
The pencil at the bottom is that, edit.
Yeah, the old one used to support drag and drop, and this one doesn't.
This one supports drag and drop. That's how I got these in here.
Didn't work on my
Yeah, that's how I know for a fact that's how I got that in there.
From a web page to this.
Well, I don't know if it goes straight from a web page. You might have to go to your hard drive first, then into
That
this.
goes like Facebook,
Yeah.
people's pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And all this other stuff.
Okay. Don't know about that. I haven't tried that. But yeah, drag and drop is, I know for a fact that's how I got that logo in there. So I wish there was a fourth one that says, let me grab it off my hard drive and bring it in. Browser drive.
Terry, will control click or right clicking bring up a menu?
Nope. Nope. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. What else? iCal. So people have been complaining about iCal for 3 versions of the OS now because Apple keeps screwing it up. They took what was a nice interface and kept taking things out of it and moving things around, and people were just livid that you're messing up iCal. I think they, in this version, finally put most of it all back now that they took out in previous versions. So what you get back is you get the sidebar again. You get mini calendars again. Here's a little tip. You can drag up to have multiple mini calendars. I don't know why they took that away in the first place. This stuff is all back now. And there was something I was going to point out here. Mini calendars are back. So they came up with a new way to do date picking. So when you double click an event, you can now, when you go to set the date, it brings up a little mini calendar. So you can, just find the date or type it in if you want. Where that's kind of nice because maybe you're trying to pick a date and see what day of the week it's on. So it's nice to bring up a little mini calendar to do that. So I think they finally have gotten most of what people were complaining that they took out back in. I want to go to the preferences to show two things. Actually, one, maybe two things. You can turn on your birthday calendars. I'm a month view kind of guy, so I like having the time of the appointment show in the month view. By default, that is off. So I know there's a MacGroup meeting, but I wouldn't know what time it was until I drill down and go look. Now I can turn on the time, not now, but you can turn on the time and see it. But when we go to alerts, this is where you control what shows up in Notification Center and what doesn't. And what was driving me crazy at first was I have some shared calendars that I subscribe to. And whenever that person would go add an event that they're going to do that has nothing to do with me, I get a little notification pops up that says, doctor's appointment. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to your doctor's appointment. I don't really need to be notified of it. That was, literally driving me crazy until I found out the way that this is weirdly worded. Turn off shared calendar notifications in Notification Center. Check to turn it off. I would think it would be checked and you would uncheck it to turn it off because it's already on. So it's just weird the way that one is worded because it's kind of the opposite. But that's why I didn't see it. It's like, oh, that's not checked, that's not on. And I read it one day and I was like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, turn off those stupid notifications I've been getting. And also a nice one for birthdays. So if you have the birthday calendar showing and you want a notification, however in advance that you want to get that birthday notification, you can do it. Unfortunately, you can't customize it like, maybe I don't want it at 9 a.m. Maybe I want it at 2 p.m. I don't have a way to do that, right? You really are forgetful, huh? You want that year notice to plan ahead. All right, so iCal is probably 90-95% back to what we liked. Let's go to mail. Mail, there's a new section called VIPs. It will not be there by default because you don't have any VIPs until you make some. So what this means is that if you get an email from someone, I don't know if I made Jack one yet. No, I didn't. So let's click on this message. And I want to make Jack a VIP. I add him to my VIPs. He gets a little star by him. And now anytime any messages come in from my VIPs, I can just go to that one spot and just see those. Without all the other, advertisements and stuff I get, not spam, but I don't want to necessarily sift through to get to the important messages. I want to see my VIP messages first. And of course, now that VIPs is integrated, you can also set up rules for that. For example, on my main system, I have a smart folder that just shows VIP mail unread. So just show me all the unread VIP emails. And because you can do that as a preferences or as a rule, that's great. Preferences. Speaking of notifications. So back in the Lion, I can't remember what all the choices were, but now, or if there were choices, now you can do notifications based on, of course, inbox means give me a notification for every message that comes in. Or only give me a notification if it's from a VIP. Meaning, don't beep, don't distract me unless it's someone I know sending me an email. Contacts someone I know. Maybe it's not a VIP, but this will just show me emails only from anyone who's in my address book. Alert me to get an email from someone that's in my address book. Now, the email's still going to come in, even if they're not in my address book. I just won't get a beep. I won't get a little pop-up notification. Speaking of which, can someone, Jack, can you send me an email to MacGroup-Detroit at me.com or whatever it is? Yeah, me.com. All right, so I'm going to quit out of mail. Oh, there's one more little tip I'm going to show once that notification comes in. So I quit out of mail, and now I'm going on about my day. So let's talk about Safari. Oh, because I'm on a projector, that's right. Which is kind of a nice thing that they did. So, and I just dawned on me, I hadn't done this with a projector yet. Apple automatically turns off notifications when you connect to a projector, so that you're not being bothered during your presentation by notifications. So it's kind of cool. So I just turned it back on. Let me know when you send it. All right, next. So let's go to Safari. So Safari has the same kind of sharing icon. Thank you. And that means that I can, on a page I'm on, I can email this page, which you could do that before with a Command I, but now I can share the link to this page via messages, or share this page via tweet. I could tweet the link to this page. Built right in. So if I say, hey, I want to message someone this page, a little message thing comes up with the link, and I can address it to whoever I want, and it goes out over iMessage to their Mac, iPhone, or iPad, or iPod Touch. The next one is iCloud. So why would iCloud be in Safari? It's not really, you're not creating documents. Why is it there? Well, if you have another Mac running Mountain Lion, or you have an iOS device running iOS 6, which is coming out this fall, and you're using Safari on either one of those other devices, this will show you what tabs in the browser you had open on those other devices. You get to work and you say, oh man, what was that web page I was looking at home? I can't remember the URL. Go there, click, and now that page is up on your Mac here. So, reading lists are gone, but that's not what replaced them. Well, I shouldn't say they're gone. Reading lists are changed. So if I say add to a reading list, what reading list is doing now is it's your offline reading. So a little blue progress bar went there for a minute. Now this article is available for me to look at offline. So I don't have to, I can click on this on a plane without Wi-Fi and be able to read that whole web page that it just saved for. Yep. So here's one that I did before. I think the last time I showed this. So this is a web page that I had in my reading list. And then once I'm done, I can clear the web pages out of here. All right. So no, it's not replacing reading lists, because this is just let me get to the website that I had open on another device. Reading lists are offline reading.
Is there a limit, like is that caching
It's probably just limited by your hard drive space. It's caching the HTML and pictures. Okay. Did you send that email? You did, didn't you?
Yes, it did, yeah.
And there it is. I didn't get the pop-up for some reason. But, oh, here's another email from someone else, actually, not the one from Jack. And it was 24 minutes ago before I turned notifications back on, so that would explain it. But anyway, I can, I forgot why I was even going to, what was I going to do with that notification? I can't even remember what I was going to show now. I think I was obviously going to let you see a little pop-up that, by the way, it pops up a little bitty message right in this area of what that message is. It stays up for a few seconds, letting you read the subject, who it's from, and I think maybe the first line of the message, and then it goes away. And if you click on it while it's still there, it will launch Bell and take you right to that message. I'm curious, though, to see if Jack's message actually came in. There it is. Test 1 and test 2. Well, that's a good question. How often does mail check? It's whatever you set it to, but iCloud uses push mail, so it's more frequent. So his messages came in. For some reason, I didn't get a notification, which, hang on, I may have changed the notifications. Maybe, maybe not. No, I didn't. I don't know why I didn't get notified. That should have come up in the notification center. Maybe it's still on. Settings. Email. It's all there. Okay, don't know why I didn't get it, but normally it will pop up. It may still be the projector thing. I'm not sure.
One of your rules is to push Jack to a special folder on the incoming whenever it checked. Would it still?
It should still notify me. Okay, but anyway, here's the messages with the text with the stars, and again, okay, there's one. Oh, and that's by the way, the Afterglow is going to be at Olga's Kitchen. So there's my reminder. It's 4:50 that came up. So perfect timing, talking about reminders. And there it is. And I have now reminded you so I can check that one off. And it kind of goes away. It goes to completed. All right. So I got to see it anyway. All right. So that's notifications and how they pop up on your screen and show you. Back to Safari, a couple more things. So we talked about the sharing. By the way, I've told the story many times how my default browser is now Google Chrome. And it was back in the day when Safari was really crashing on me quite a bit and I just couldn't take it anymore, so I switched to Chrome. Haven't looked back. And I still like Safari, don't get me wrong. But Safari is now becoming more Chrome-like. And what I mean by that is Safari always had the URL bar and a separate search bar. Separate search bar is gone because this is a unified bar just like Chrome. So if I say I want to find Apple Power Mac G4, I'm not typing in a URL. Notice it's looking for searches. So if I search, it's going to do a Google search because that's what I've set for Google. And if I then type in a URL like www.macgroup.org, then it actually goes to the site. So if you don't type in a URL, it searches. If you type in a URL, it goes to the site, just like Chrome does. Another Chrome feature is that they've now changed the password manager. Your passwords used to be stored in your keychain. Now they're stored in here. They're stored in the actual browser. So you can edit them, or I don't know about edit them, you can delete them and see them.
You can't edit them.
Okay, I didn't know if you could edit them. You can show them, which I'm not going to do. Learn that lesson from Steve. But there's your password manager. Okay. He said you can edit. I'm not going to get into editing right now, but I'm assuming if Jack says you can, you can. Notifications. I don't have any here for the notification center, but what this is for is if a site tries to add itself to your notification center, you can manage that here. So, because maybe some sites are smart enough to say, hey, he's on a Mac, I'm going to set up something in his notification center. That's let you manage it this way. Okay, we did the rest. Great. Let's move on to, I'm going to skip that one, skip that one. Okay, because I only got 3 minutes left, so I'm going to skip some of these ones that aren't that important. Let's do a fun one here. Let's go to, oh, here's a fun one for the Finder. Let's go to Documents. The Finder now displays a progress bar for just about anything you're doing in the actual thing you're doing in it. Now, this is going to be quick because I'm on an SSD drive. But when I drag this folder in here and tell it to copy it, watch immediately to the right of the name of it when I let go, because it's going to happen probably pretty quickly, so I may not get a chance to see it. So that's the progress bar. So it shows you a little progress bar in addition to the regular progress bar, and it will show you multiple progress bars going on in the Finder for multiple things you're doing right on the device. Even if you are doing something to the folder itself can show a little progress bar right on the folder itself. So pretty cool. Let's go. Get rid of that. And get rid of that. Okay, next. But that's not the fun thing I was going to show you. Let's go to movies. And let's see here.
Hello.
Yep, that's the one. And sound. Remember the old days of I'm a Mac commercials?
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
You better watch out.
You better not cry.
You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming.
Whoa. Sorry about that. User error.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
You better watch out.
You better not cry.
You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
He sees you when you're in sleep mode.
He knows when you're awake.
He knows when you've been bad or good, so buy a PC and not a Mac this holiday season or any other time, for goodness sake. Oh, come on. Oh, what? I thought those were the lyrics, and that's how I learned it.
Okay. So let's say you made your own little cute video, or not cute video, but you made your own video, and now you want to share your video. Now, if I want to put that on YouTube, I'd have to go to my browser, go to YouTube, log in, drag the file, all the things that you would have to do. Well, look familiar? Share icon. Including YouTube and Vimeo and Flickr. So if I say share to YouTube, it lets me log in right here and upload it right here to my YouTube account. Okay, so sharing a video right there. And speaking of video, it's not just for video. Let's go to pictures. And let's say that I have this picture of Jack and I want to share Flickr. We'll share that picture to Flickr right here. And I'm going to keep it private. But anyway, so that means only I'll see it. But now I'm uploading that picture right to my Flickr account directly from the Finder, without having to even have a web browser open. And there's the URL to it right there if I wanted to just go see it right now. Okay, so sharing from QuickTime and from the Finder with photos and videos. Next, let's talk about desktop pictures. So obviously I have a desktop picture here set up to be the MacGroup logo. I could use whatever picture I want or whatever desktop pictures I want, but that hasn't changed. What's changed is screensavers. Apple has a lot more screensavers right now than ever before. And many of these came from Apple TV. I use Photo Wall on my Apple TV. So I can say Photo Wall, and by the way, where's my Test It button? There's no Test It button, but if you hover over it, there's a preview button. And those are my photos as my screensaver going by on a photo wall. So the ones that float down your screen on Apple TV, all of those are now screensavers on your Mac as well. What else? I have one more thing I'm going to show at the end. Oh, speaking of there is something that changed in your desktop pictures. And that is all of your libraries are available to you. Not that. I want to, so if you wanted to grab a picture from my photo, not just grab a picture from my photo, but grab a picture from a specific album, your faces, your places, your Flickr, anything that is in iPhoto or Aperture or Apple's other applications are now accessible for you to grab without you having to export it first and then import it in or set it in that application. Okay, next. And last thing. Let's go to System Preferences. And let's go to a new option. Dictation and speech. I couldn't find it. There it is. So dictation and speech is now a feature that was originally on iPhone, then iPad, and now now Mac OS. So that means that the Mac will let me talk to it and transcribe what I say into text. We can test this. So I'm going to quit out. You turn it on. Once you turn it on, you can go into just about any app that can accept text. So let's make a new note. And the way, didn't I say new note? The way you activate it, because otherwise it'd be listening and trying to do everything you ever say. The way you activate it is you hit your function key twice. Thank you for attending the meeting today. Period. Okay. So, I have found that, as I've said this many times before, dictation software with my voice, it either works great or horribly bad. There's no in between. So I'm lucky this is one of those that works great. If it was working horribly bad, I would have said, and yesterday I went to the store. It would have been nowhere near what I said. So Apple's dictation services on both iOS and Mac seem to work decently with my voice.
Is this a Dragon product?
It is Apple's own, I don't know where they acquired it, but it's their technology. So his question was, Dragon? Now, there is one thing about this. You notice a little brief bubble thing until it actually translated? That's because it's doing it over the internet. It's actually sending what I said and grabbing down the text real quick or translating it real quick. That means, because it's not built in, it gets better over time. And it can be improved over time. It doesn't have to be what you get today is all you'll ever get. So if it's not, I've had, even on my iPhone with Siri, certain things I'll say have gotten better now or get different results now because Apple's changed what the results are because it's a cloud-based thing happening. Okay, question was, did I have to go through any training? Nope, that's out of the box. It's the first time I've even used it on this user.
The software requires you to go to the internet or come back and...
Yes, it has to have an internet connection for it to go out and come back.
I haven't upgraded, and I was wondering, I really like Spaces, and I heard you took that away. I really need it.
Well, what did you like about it?
What, Spaces? Well, because I'm sometimes working on multiple projects simultaneously, and I like to have different desktops for those particular...
Like these? They didn't take it away, they just made it mission control, and they may have changed the way it works, but they didn't take it away.
How do you
Mission control right there.
is that online too?
It's online too.
How do you get?
Click mission control, it's on your dock right there.
Oh, okay. Because I have it lying on the laptop.
Then you have it.
Terry, on Pages, how come I cannot do labels anymore?
On Pages, how come you cannot do labels anymore? I'm not a Pages user, so I'll have to let a Pages user answer that. I don't use Pages, so I didn't know you could or couldn't do labels. Does anyone know why you can't do labels on Pages anymore?
Well, I mean, I used to have Word, and you could do labels.
So is your question, why can't Pages do labels?
Right.
Okay, that's different. You said, why can't it do it anymore, meaning it used to do it and couldn't do it now. I don't know why it couldn't do it anymore. Why doesn't it ever do it? That's up to Apple to implement that feature. I don't know. I'm not a Pages user. I don't really do word processing very much. Okay, we are out of time. So thank you.